In the manufacturing sector declined by 0.1% compared to an increase of 2.5% in 2019. The value of output increased by 2.8% from 2.3 trillion in 2019 to 2.4 trillion in 2020. The sector's performance was supported by sugar and cement production. Total credit advanced to the sector by commercial banks and industrial financial institutions rose from Kenyan shilling 366.9 billion in 2019 to Kenyan shilling 410.3 billion in 2020. Total sales by export processing zones enterprises increased by 4.3% to Kenyan shilling 80.5 billion in 2020, while imports contracted by 7.5% to Kenyan shilling 36.8 billion in 2020. Formal employment in the sector decreased by 10.3% to 316.9 thousand persons in 2020. In the building and construction sector, the construction sector registered a growth of 11.8%. So you can imagine now, with the challenge of COVID and the difficulties and the anticipation that all economic activities will slow down, contrary, the construction sector grew by 11.8% for the period, while compared to 5.6% growth in 2019. Cement consumption rose significantly from 6.1 million tons in 2019 to 7.4 million tons in 2020, representing an increase of 21.3%. Loans and advances from commercial banks to the construction sector grew by 3.4% from Kenyan shilling 115.8 billion in 2019 to Kenyan shilling 119.7 billion in 2020. The number of completed public residential buildings built by the State Department for Housing and the National Housing Corporation were 2,332 and 338, respectively, in the year under review. The total length of roads under the bitumen rose by 1.8% to 22.6 thousand kilometers as at June 2020, while 22,200 kilometers in June 2019. The construction of the Nairobi Expressway was at 16.6% completion as at 31st December 2020. Wage employment in the sector grew by 33% from 173,300 persons in 2019 to 230,500 persons in 2020. In the financial and insurance activities, the financial sector recorded a growth of 5.6% in 2020 compared to a growth of 6.9% in 2019. Financial activities subsector grew by 4.2% in 2020 compared to 6.2% growth in 2019, arising from increase in domestic credit and credit advanced to national government and the private sector. Total domestic credits grew by 18.6% in December 2020. Credit to the national government increased to Kenyan shilling 1.358 trillion as of December 2020, compared to Kenyan shilling 900.4 billion in 2019. Credit to the private sector expanded by 8.4% to Kenyan shilling 2.891 trillion in 2020. Insurance activities recorded a growth of 10.5% in 2020 compared to 9.5% growth in 2019, as evidenced by 2.7% growth in net premium income. The Central Bank of Kenya introduced accommodative monetary policies in an effort to cushion the economy and financial sector from systematic issues as a result of COVID-19. The Bureau, the KNBS, will continue to uphold confidentiality in handling the information given and will only use for the statistical purposes. Sometimes, you know, Kenyans or maybe sometimes people are shy to give certain information because they may appear personal, but the professional that has been displayed by KNBS has been commendable, and we want to encourage them to continue on that trajectory to make sure that whatever information that they get in the course of helping this country make decisions for now and also in the future are only used for the intended purpose. I think as I conclude, just to assure you that as a country, I want to believe the worst is behind us. We've come a long way. We were quite nervous part of 2019 and 2020. When we were hit by COVID, we were quite nervous. Those of us, especially as the National Treasury, under the leadership of our President, we were not sure how we are going to navigate. But we put systems in place and we put Kenyans at the heart of our planning. That's why you saw we had to give certain concessions, tax concessions, including reduction of the VAT, income tax, as well as also reduce on the interest rates at the central bank. The idea was just to cushion Kenyans, to cushion business, but also increase liquidity in the economy so that Kenyans will have an opportunity to work and continue creating wealth despite the challenges of the time. Now we've come up with certain targeted stimulus interventions. That's why you hear Kazi Mutani. Some people, they may criticize, but you know what it has done for the very many youth, mainly in the urban centers, by taking them away from the street, by giving them food at the end of the day, by supporting the slum economy, the mama mbogas, you know, the quota sugar, the quota meat. At the end of the day, that flow, and at the same time, we also continued to support the vulnerable, including the elderly, through the cash transfer by stepping up on this. And the net sum of all this, that to have all this money circulating in the economy, had a relieving effect on the economy. And now we are working on the economic recovery strategy, where we are identified a number of projects and programs that's going to continue cushioning the economy. And that's why we are confident and we are quite sure that the economy will register a growth of over 6%. We want to sustain this through policy and administrative interventions. You can see now, through the reforms that we put in place, for the last few months, Kenya Revenue Authority has been performing beyond the target. Every month, we collect close to 5 billion above the targets that they are given. This is very positive, meaning we are going to have ability and the will to finance our budget, reduce on borrowing, so that we remain confident and remain master of our own destiny. Because some of this, in the long run, in the past, have worried Kenyans. And we want to continue reducing our budget deficit to enable us live within our means. Finally, I think for the event for today, I urge all stakeholders to make use of the invaluable information contained in the report for better targeting of programs and initiatives to yield more desirable and efficient economic outcomes. Because this is more or less foundational information that we require. The private sector, the government sector, the various non-governmental organizations, even our development partners. These form the basis of the preliminary data that we are going to use as we plan for our country, as we plan for our companies, as we plan for our various organizations. I want to thank you very much, and may God bless you.